This is GTA 6 in Minecraft Hardcore with Vice City, Ambrosia, the keys, and so much more. As always, I started with the outline of the whole build. Now to actually build it, we need some materials. And as I built a lot of islands in the past, I would say this is gonna be easy. First, 60,000 stone, which I can gather from this simple stone generator. Next, dirt, for which I have this dirt farm. Then sandstone, which I gather from this sand duper along black concrete powder. Next, andesite, which I have loads of. Then calcite, which I don't have loads of. And diorite, which I can easily get loads of. With that, I can build the base of the island. The reason this build required so much stone is because most of this island will be filled by dense cities. Given how packed with features this island will be, it may not look as impressive just yet, but trust me, we are just getting started. The first logical step to improving this island's looks is to grab a bunch of bone meal and go around the whole island spreading grass. Next, I can gather some oak, birch, and acacia saplings and plant them on the whole island. There is one more tree type that we'll add later, but that's gonna be a huge step, so we'll do it later. Now for the most annoying part of building islands, connecting it to the bottom of the ocean. For that, I gathered 50 shulker boxes of sand and started dumping it into the ocean. Yup, just a simple man minding his business. Now that we have a straight wall of sand going to the ocean floor, we can add a second layer 2/3 of the way up. Now a third layer 1/3 of the way, and boom, it's an island now. A bunch of islands. And it ended up using 130 shulker boxes. Okay, now there are just a couple steps left before we can start building all the cities. First, we're gonna add random rocks and whatnot to spice up the ground a little bit. Yeah, that's looking good. And finally, I'm gonna quickly farm every type of tall flower and place it on the island. Now the real fun begins. I wrote down 70 things to do to finish this island. Yep, and these can be split into 7 categories. So we'll go through each category, leaving Vice City with 29 steps for the end. First, a place where everything begins. Orlando, or whatever it's called in GTA. There will be 88 buildings in Orlando, and for 7 of them, we will recreate their counterparts from the real world. And for the rest, we'll just go with the vibe of the city. The first building on our list is the JW Marriott. This building is mostly made out of white terracotta, meaning we need to go to a mesa biome and collect a couple stacks of it. Then some black stained glass and black concrete for windows. We also need some frog light to make some of them have lights turned on. And for extra details, we need to collect deep slate, sandstone variants, and craft some bricks. And we can begin building the first out of 518 buildings. Yeah, there's a ton. Now we're gonna add this American flag at the top using blue wool and TNT. Yo, this turned out really well, especially at night when the windows are glowing. Orlando is a very strange place. Next to this gorgeous hotel, we're gonna build a freaking rocket and a NASA base. So the base is mostly made out of white concrete and light gray concrete. We also need a couple pieces of blue wool and some TNT for yet another American flag. And now I can quickly build it. Yeah, but that kinda looks like a hospital. So if I grab 4 blue banners and some white dye, I can make these letters. This is always the tricky part. And now if I place it, boom, NASA hospital. And for the rocket we need orange concrete, smooth stone, black stone, and some more white concrete. And now I can finish the NASA part of Orlando. I don't think the rocket is supposed to be taller than the building it's manufactured in. Continuing the weirdness of this place, next on our list is the Cinderella Castle. What am I doing? This castle is the main point of interest of Orlando's Disney World. As you can see, this castle has a lot of gold. So naturally, the first step is to AFK at my gold farm. And voila, I definitely don't need that much. And while we're on the nether roof, I'm gonna grab some frog light. Next, some tuff, some stone bricks, diorite, a lot of diorite, and finally almost 500 of American flags worth of blue wool. As I built this castle, my building confidence kept shrinking, as I've literally never built a castle before. But I decided to roll with it anyways. Okay, this doesn't look that bad. If you just unfocus your eyes, it looks perfectly fine. Good job, there will be 515 more buildings to mask the Cinderella Castle. Yup, moving on. The Icon Park features 2 iconic rides. For both of these, I need a bunch of end rods, so I spent 20 minutes in the end looking for them. However, later we'll definitely need a better method for that because it's such a cool block. Next, all types of frog light. And now for the first ride, we also need warped wood. And we can start building the drop tower. And now we're gonna make it actually work. So if I place soul sand here, water at the top, plus the sign so that it doesn't flow out of the tower, then at the bottom place kelp and bone meal it, we have a working free fall tower. Free fall damage tower, I guess. Now for the Ferris wheel, other than end rods and frog light, we need iron blocks and a bunch of quartz. Luckily, I have a lot of both of these, so I can quickly build this wheel. Now we're gonna grab rails and craft 23 minecarts, so that this ride actually has some seats. And trust me, it's moving. It's just very slow. Now we're gonna quickly replace the ground with grass and actually add powdered snow covered by moss carpets at the drop tower, so that you don't take fall damage. Next we're gonna build the University of Central Florida. For that I need a bunch of regular terracotta and some white terracotta. Now I need to craft black stained glass and quartz slabs. And finally I need to go collect a bit of deep slate for the roof. So now I can build it. And now that I think about it, I don't think it's a good idea to put schools in GTA. For some reason. Why do universities always look so depressing? Look at this, and look at this. So maybe to spice it up a little bit, I'm gonna add grass. And yay, I'm sure students will be happy all of a sudden. Orange County Convention Center is not orange. Sadly. It's actually all white with an exception for its black windows. So let's get those. Come here, squid. Next we need a bit more quartz than I actually have. So if I drop the rest of the gold we collected for the castle, I should... Yep, have enough quartz. Lastly, I need some end rods, so I'll actually plant a bunch of chorus plants. Then I'll go to a fortress and get a lot of blaze rods. Yeah, that should be enough. And now if I smelt this chorus and combine it with blaze rods, oh yeah, that's way better than going to the end each time. So now I can go and build the second to last important location in Orlando. So lastly, before we move on to 81 filler buildings, we're gonna work on these two bridges, or currently roads floating above water. For the first one I'm gonna grab some copper, and for the second one red sandstone, and then smelt it. And now for both of them I'm gonna go to a nether fortress and grab these fences. I know you can craft them, but this just seemed easier. So if I just surround these with slabs, we have a thicker road. Now I can add supporting pillars and fences, and we have these cool and functional bridges. Yo, this is turning out really well. But what's gonna elevate this place the most is this next step. Instead of going building by building, we're now gonna do each district until this place is absolutely packed with features. I selected 7 districts that I want to recreate in these areas, starting with Holden Heights, for which we need mostly white concrete as that's what the district mostly looks like. Then bricks for all the roofs, except for one of them which needs packed mud to make mud bricks. And then some other easy items. Holden Heights, despite its name, mostly consists of small houses, which is convenient as I wouldn't want to cover the cool buildings I did before. Well, maybe except for the castle. Moving up north, we have downtown Orlando, where we will have a bunch of really tall buildings. To make it easy on me, I designed most of them with concrete. But to actually make it look good, I need to add glass and lights. For glass, we need mostly white stained glass paints. Exactly 22 stacks of it. Damn, that's a lot. And also some light blue stained glass. For lights, we need some frog light, which seems like I have infinite of, and 1,000 end rods. I'm so glad I figured out you can craft those. Because after just AFKing this chorus farm thingy for 30 minutes, I was able to get more than enough. Next, we need quartz, which I now also have, and also 500 white carpet, which I believe... Yup, you can duplicate. Awesome. With that, I could start building. And I gotta say, this district really improves the look of the whole city. And the whole island, actually. I can't wait for the Vice City to be absolutely filled with massive skyscrapers. But while we wait for that, let me tell you about War Thunder, a free-to-play game for every platform you can think of. In War Thunder, you can simulate realistic battles with planes, tanks, ships, and helicopters. This is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. There are over 2,500 vehicles to choose from, and 10 major nations to play as with your friends. You get to pick between modern battle tanks and historically accurate planes depending on your preference. The incredibly detailed vehicles and amazing sound design will make you feel immersed in the action. On top of that, every vehicle is modeled with precision, down to its core components, not just the square hitbox. This also allows the X-ray view, which accurately shows where your machine is damaged. My favorite part is that there are 3 distinct game modes for every type of player. There's simulated for longer battles in the first-person mode and limited HUD, my favorite arcade for fast-paced action, and realistic for the most authentic experience. And if you're more of a mobile player, the new War Thunder mobile game is just as impressive, with intuitive controls and beautiful graphics. So join the community of over 95 million players with the links in the description and the pinned comment. With my link, new or returning players that haven't played in 6 months on PC and console will receive a massive bonus pack, including 100,000 Silver Lions, a week of a premium account, this awesome decoration, and so much more. If you're thinking of picking up a new game, this is the perfect time to do it. Okay, back to Orlando. Next, Sodo, aka south of downtown Orlando. Yeah, I nailed it. Anyways, it's kind of a mix of tall buildings and buildings still under construction. So we're gonna start with the construction sites first, and then move on to the finished ones. So first I'm gonna build 2 cranes and then the building that's being constructed. For the first small crane we need a couple of iron blocks, then some quartz, iron bars and trapdoors, so I can quickly build it. Now if I place this iron trapdoor and a minecart with a chest and connect it with a grindstone and chains, it looks like the crane is actually carrying materials. Next, for the big boy crane we need a bunch of yellow concrete, some diorite walls, and some other easy materials, so I can build it quickly. Now for the building under construction, we're gonna use some bricks, white concrete, and oak planks to make it look as unfinished as possible. And finally some iron bars to outline some more of the building. With that, I can build this masterpiece. I know it's not really all that realistic, but I made it so that the big boy crane is carrying a whole story of the building. And I think it looks really cool. Alright, and that's most of the Soto done, leaving us with just 3 buildings similar to the ones in downtown. Meaning I need to collect some more concrete, a bit of quartz, a tiny bit of end rods, barely any terracotta, and no deep slate. And now we can build it. And wow, this looks real. Plot twist. Bet you didn't see that one coming. So this city right here is actually supposed to be Ambrosia, aka Jacksonville, meaning a very industrial looking city. So from now on we're gonna do that instead of the planned district for Orlando. First we're gonna do this very American looking tower, for which I need red and white concrete, but also the tube core block to look like blue with stars on it. But as you can see, the blue kinda dies when it's out of water. So I'm gonna quickly build the concrete part, and now add stairs and waterlog them, which will prevent coral from dying. Awesome. Next we're gonna build a couple of these hangars using bone blocks and white terracotta to look like dirty white walls, and copper for some of the roofs. So let's build these. Now we just need some concrete, campfires, glass, frog light, terracotta, and some other easy items. And we can build the industrial smokestacks. And I also added this machine thingy. Cool. Moving on, we're now gonna build the living areas of Ambrosia, with gun stores, broken down houses, and a lot of freedom. First, the gun stores. Let's start with this first simple one, for which I just needed tuff and concrete. Next, this other one with mud and concrete for the massive gun sign. Next, we need some TNT, dead coral, and a live coral, and a bunch of gold to make this a big crazy store with a bullet sign coming out of an American tube. And now a tank-shaped gun store. I think 4 gun stores should be enough for a small community. That might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever built. Now houses, which I could safely borrow from Sandy Shores at my GTA 5 island, as it offers a similar look. Okay, what was I thinking when building this? But that actually looks cool. With the building selected, I now need to collect the materials, that being a bunch of stone variants, oak, dark oak, copper, spruce, deep slate. Wow, that's a lot of different materials. So let's speedrun the rest. Dripstone, warped wood, acacia, birch, dead coral, andesite, granite, terracotta, diorite, bone block, calcite, glass pane, jungle, white wool, sandstone, mud brick, concrete, clay and blackstone, dirt and carpet, gravel, lever, pickle, ladder. Okay, finally. So now I can quickly build all the houses. Now to finally add more freedom. And that's Ambrosia Heights. Wow, that's the last place where I would want to live. Next up, the fields. For this part, we need to replace a lot of this stone with dirt, which took a while. Now I'm gonna do something I always thought was impossible. Plant potatoes. And wheat and carrots and whatever. So let's collect a bunch of these. First, wheat seeds, since I have thousands of it. I mean, who doesn't? Next, carrots, which I also have. And now potatoes, which I have 3. Bruh, I have more potatoes at home. But if I just put on some farming music, it will be done in no time. I might have gone a bit overboard with this one. Now, why did I think this was impossible? Apparently you can plant crops without water. Yeah, turns out if you just plant crops before dehydrated farmland turns into dirt, it will just stay like that. But I don't think this will actually grow. So let's bone meal all of this. And now you might be wondering why I left these gaps here. And that's because we're gonna burn it all. Or at least make it look like that. Because in GTA 6, these fields are actually on fire. So if I just grab some netherrack, coarse dirt, and campfires, I can turn this peaceful farm into a living hell. Brilliant. Now we're just gonna quickly build these farming houses, making sure they're far away from the fire. And the Ambrosia fields are 100% done. Meaning Orlandoville Ambrosia is also fully done, meaning we have 3 more regular sized cities, 2 secret categories, and the entire Vice City to do before finishing this project. Also, I know this is stupid, but for 200,000 likes, I'll build GTA 7. Port Gellhorn, a port city based on Tampa described as full of cheap motels, shut down attractions and empty malls. First let's build the actual port and then Gellhorn. First we're gonna build the same hangar as back in Ambrosia with bone blocks, white terracotta and copper, just like this. Next we're gonna build big colorful containers with dripstone blocks, terracotta, calcite, mud, red sandstone and dead coral to make them different but not too colorful. Now to add a bit of texture to them we need jungle, warped, birch, cherry and spruce signs. So now if I quickly place them, the only thing left are the container lifts, aka repurposed cranes from earlier, meaning we need iron, quartz and deep slate. With that I can finish the port. I know there are also supposed to be boats and container ships here, but that's gonna be a whole step for later, where we will add yachts, jet skis and all the other boats in locations like these. Next, overlooking the port is the Bayshore Boulevard Street, with mostly still operating hotels. For those we need white terracotta and bricks, but also some oak leaves and sandstone. And now we can build it, but that doesn't really look like a hotel, does it? I have an idea. Perfect. Now I'm gonna add this parking lot, and now in the back of this area we'll build the Scarlet Motel, which plays an important role in GTA 6. So first let's build the actual motel. Now to make it look like it's not being looked after, we're gonna add grass here, then these vines and leaves. Now this pole with wires connected to the motel out in the open, then these traffic cone type things with small lights on top. Now let's quickly build a sign, and now we have to make the letters again, which was actually pretty easy this time. So now if I place it, that's the Scarlet Motel. And I'd say this looks exactly like the one in GTA 6. Like, I could mix them up and you wouldn't be able to tell which one is Minecraft. Next up, the power plant, which once built will be responsible for 300% of Gellhorn's pollution. So let's get to work. First let's build the fence. Wow. Now I need to collect a bit of tuff and deep slate. And now some concrete. Actually, I'm tired of going to the end each time. So I grabbed every type of concrete powder and AFK'd until I had a full shulker box of each color. Next I solidified it and boom, we have supplies for at least 2 towns maybe? With that I built the main factory building. Now we're gonna build loads of smoking toxic waste to make sure air actually has a flavor. For said toxic waste we need slime blocks. For that I'm gonna quickly set up this machine made by Big Booty 17. Yup. With that, we can start spawning in snow golems, which will get splashed by oozing potions, take damage from water, and turn into slimes. So if I run this for a while... Wow, that's a lot of slimes. Look how much that gave me, what? With that and some extra materials, I can build this truck casually moving the toxic waste. Next, this pushing thingy. And finally, a storage for the waste connected to the main building. Awesome. Now we're gonna build the Delight's Cabaret, a shoe store if you know what I mean. And I think it only makes sense to build it out of stripped logs. So I stripped down this entire forest and then took away its logs. With that and some easier materials, I can build the shell of this club. Now we're gonna add end rods here and paintings to look like posters. Now if I grab red banners and white dye, I can make letters spelling club. Now let's quickly set up this parking lot, then place this sign with these specific paintings, and finally I'm gonna replace the ground inside with wool, add these poles and a bar, and the Delight's Cabaret is 100% done. So now, just like before, we're gonna do bridges and then districts. So first I need to grab a bunch of netherrack, then smelt it, and while that's cooking I need to collect red sand, grab some regular sandstone, and also make a bit of smooth stone. With that I can build the bridges, making sure they're connected to the ocean floor. And now for the districts, I split it into 2 parts, the hotels and the living areas. Let's start with the hotels, which there will be 4 more of. First this one here, for which we're just gonna ignore the roads to maintain the shape. So we need to grab some concrete, craft glass, and gather some oak. With that I can build this hotel, but that looks really empty. But if I craft a bunch of beds and place them inside, yeah, that looks much better. Next up, this diagonal hotel, which I didn't bother explaining the material list for as it was very straightforward. Cool thing about it is that it glows at night. Perhaps it glows too much. So for the next one, I'm gonna try something different. If I go on the nether roof, I have this bee farm here, which has been producing honey in the background for a long time. So if I grab 4 stacks of these, then some string and black dye, I can craft candles. So if I start building the 3rd hotel, I can place 3 candles in some windows, which will give off a fraction of the light that frog light produces, giving a much more realistic soft light. So now if I just place these letters here, that's the 2nd to last hotel in Port Gellhorn. And for the last one, we're gonna use yet another method for light. You may not know this, but crying obsidian actually gives off a stronger light than 3 lit candles. Why did I place that? So since piglins could give you crying obsidian, I should just be able to AFK my bartering farm and have enough crying obsidian in no time. Other than crying obsidian, we need sandstone and grey concrete. So let's build it. And that's a pretty and subtle light, though I think I prefer the candles. With that, we can move on to the last step before finishing Port Gellhorn, the living areas. To say people here are broke and broken would be an understatement, so we'll have to keep that in mind when designing the houses. So I came up with 4 different designs. The first one mixes bricks with granite, so we have to collect a bunch of these blocks. I really don't like the way granite looks, but that's only gonna improve the look that I'm aiming for. Next up, bricks, which I'm slowly running out of, so when we'll need them next time, I'll have to come up with something new. So now I can build the first design quickly. I also left these grass blocks on the roofs, so I can bone meal it, and it looks even more broken down. The next design is a lot brighter, using a lot of stripped birch logs, also sandstone and iron trapdoors for the roofs. With that collected, I can quickly build it. And now to make it more broken down, I'm gonna add vines to all of these houses. Now to avoid this area looking vibrant, we're gonna use dead coral in the design, meaning I need to dive deep in the coral reef and collect a bunch of this. Also craft some cobblestone slabs, and we can build 3 of these. And for the last design, I need to craft light blue terracotta and strip some warped wood. With that, I can build it, also adding smoke coming out of these. And these broken down windows. And finally, I'm gonna add grass and trees, because for some reason in America, that's synonymous with cheap. And with that, Port Gellhorn is 100% done, leaving us with 2 towns, 2 something, and Vice City. So next up, a very strange place based on Everglades City, the Grass Rivers City. First grass, then river. No, okay. So we're gonna start with the port again, but this time it's gonna look a lot different. Instead of an industrial port, this one mostly focuses on fishing and renting boats. So let's make a boat rental place. For this, we need to turn some of our quartz into pillars, grab some light blue concrete, and then oak. And we can finish the first building. Now let's build this small pier, and now this smaller one with boats attached to it. And finally, let's make some light blue banners and make another sign, rent boat. Simple and effective. And if they ever feel like changing their business model, it'll be really easy. Next, we will quickly build this fish bar, then this pier. Now we're gonna set up this fish trophy for everyone to look at, then place fish in these invisible item frames inside, and then these 2 fish signs to make sure everyone knows what this place is. Shout out to Mercs Builds on TikTok for these designs. And now to finish this step, using almost the exact same materials, we're gonna build this kind of boat-shaped restaurant. Let's quickly place the tables here, and with that we can move on to hotels. So let's get all the materials needed. As you can see, so far every place in Florida focuses a lot on tourism. But when we're done with the buildings in this city, I'll add something that should scare all the tourists. But first, let's build these hotels. So we have Hotel and Hotel Plus. Which one would you choose? Next, we're gonna build the airport. For that, we need to remove all of this stone and some of this grass, and place smooth stone for the runways and coarse dirt for the rough land around it. And now I'm gonna add this plane on one end and one that's about to land on the other end. Now, you may be thinking it's stupid to have 2 airports in a walking distance from each other, but we're in America. You gotta account for the billionaires. The Everglades City Hall looks kinda like the agency from Fortnite. I might be the first ever adult to say that. Mom, look, it's the agency. Meaning we need a lot of quartz. Luckily, that's very easy. Barely an inconvenience. With that, I can start building. Now we're gonna add these fences, and to actually give them more character, I'm gonna place black candles on top. Yeah, that looks sick. I hate crafting letters for these banners, but this front of the roof looks really boring. Luckily for my Wild West video, I crafted a bunch of these in black and white, meaning I can take some and spell City Hall. Initially, I wasn't gonna do any interiors for this, but the view from these windows will be unmatched once there's a whole Vice City skyline. Also, you can look at the fish sign if you want. So lastly, I'll add this smooth stone outline around it, grass within its boundaries, and these flowers and pink petals. Yeah, that looks better than the agency. Let's move on with my Let's move on to the living areas of Grass Rivers, where this is the average demographic. What did the Bobcat do to you guys? So because of that, I don't think they deserve any good homes. So I designed the absolute worst living conditions imaginable. And I brought a good friend from earlier episodes to help me get revenge on these guys. Go get him, Mr. Catty Cat. Wow, I did not know you could do that. Anyways, you better go now, cause we're gonna add this scary stuff. Real-life Everglades are famous for their crabs and alligators, so naturally we're gonna add a bunch of them roaming around. I want 5 alligators and 10 crabs. To make them look as realistic as possible, we're gonna have to use some creative methods. But first, let's collect the easy materials, like some acacia for crabs, dark prismarine for alligators, and red sand for crabs. And now we need to craft a couple of these very specific banners. It will make sense soon. Now craft orange candles, armor stands, and 5 dragon heads. I promise this is still for the alligators. With all the materials collected and crafted, I can start building. First, 5 of these crabs with cool eyes made out of candles. Next, under each crab, we need to break a block and place one below and put a banner on top. And now if we build a crab around it, the banner will look like the eyes. And now I can repeat that 4 times, and we can move on to alligators. For these, we have to break 2 blocks and place 2 support blocks like this. On the lower one, we need to place an armor stand with a dragon head, and on the other one this banner. And now if we build the alligator around it, the dragon head adds nostrils and the banner adds eyes. This looks so cool. So I quickly build the rest of them, and the Grass River City is 100% done. Next up, Leonida Keys, the heart of surfers and smugglers. We're gonna start with the most important parts of the keys. First, Jason's house, for which we need a bunch of birch, and a lot of it as stripped wood. So let's build it. Now we're gonna add this basketball hoop, this vent, then these acacia railings, and vines. With that, Jason can now just fix some leaks. Jason, it's too late. Next, Brian's Marina. First, we need a bunch of copper. This farm genuinely scares me. Now we gotta craft it into chiseled copper, and now collect a bunch of tuff. And we can build the shell of this hangar. Now, this looks really bad. That's because we need to wait for all of this copper to oxidize. But now inside we can add a bunch of machinery that may not actually do anything, but it certainly looks like it does. And lastly, I'm gonna add this sign, and with the Wild West letters, all I needed to craft was this apostrophe. Next, the lighthouse, for which we need to kidnap this villager. And leave him here for now. Now we need to craft some quartz and get red terracotta. And now we can build 3/4 of this lighthouse. And now we have to move the villager up there. Off you go. Now that he's on this rail, we can place mangrove roots. This is a very special block as it won't suffocate him, but it will transfer redstone signal for the next step. I'm pretty sure this is the only block that fits these requirements. Now on the roots we need to place golden pressure plates and place these redstone lamps. Now if I quickly build the rest of this lighthouse and go inside to gently push the villager will activate the pressure plates with his head, which because of the roots will light up both rows of the lamps in circles. Next, the rusty anchor, a bar right next to the lighthouse. For this, we need a bunch of oxidized copper. And since last time it took so long to oxidize once built, we're gonna let it all sit here until it's done. And in the meantime, I need to craft spruce variants, mossy cobblestone, grab sea pickles, craft a bunch of different signs, then carpet, flower pots, fences, and lastly make these brown banners with letters spelling anchor. And it seems like all the copper has successfully oxidized. With that, I can replace the ground where needed, make this outside area with these colorful tables and a grassy area. Now the main building with all the copper and the anchor sign. Now inside, I'm gonna install these stools and these flower pots and sea pickles to act as bottles. In GTA 6, the walls of this bar are filled with various license plates, so we'll recreate that with different colored signs. And that's the rusty anchor. I'd love to spend an evening here. Cal is definitely one of the most interesting characters in GTA 6. Since he works in the marina and also likes to have a drink, we'll put his house right between these two. This house is mostly made out of spruce, so if I just get all the variants needed, I can start building. Since the keys are constantly flooding, a lot of these houses are lifted from the ground and supported by these pillars. So with that set up, we can now put the house on top. So he has a bed, a TV, and pickles. Incredible living conditions. Okay, this next step is a bit tricky. The wonder whale is a statue of a very colorful whale. So I'm gonna have to collect a bunch of the most colorful blocks and actually form a whale out of these blocks. And hopefully it won't turn out looking like something glitched in my world. So I'm gonna start by smelting some terracotta to make these glazed terracotta blocks. Now we need some slabs and stairs to make the shape more realistic. So I'll craft purple slabs and stairs. Then bamboo, red sand, cherry, and so on. Now let's quickly prepare the area with some grass and a wall. And actually start building the whale. I think that looks pretty good, yeah. Next up, the 7-mile bridge. I'm not sure this is actually 7 miles. Hold on, let me check. Yeah, no, not even close. But first we actually need to remove this black concrete. And with some smooth stone, outline the new lifted shape of this bridge. And now I'm gonna outline this outline with a diorite outline. And that's actually almost done, as the bridge in question doesn't really have many distinct features. But the last step is to add supporting pillars. And the 7-mile bridge is done. And while I'm in my bridge making era, I'm gonna work on this other bridge that goes to Vice City. And I really like the look of this bridge in Port Calhoun. So I recreated it, and it might look a lot like a nether fortress, but that's fine. It's not like we're gonna trap a blaze here. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that joke. But with that, we only have 3 more important bits in the keys. First, Mallory Square. First, let's replace the ground with a friendly smooth stone layer. Now we're gonna build this gazebo, and since this is a popular summer hangout spot, we're gonna build this ice cream stand designed by TSMC. With these cool banners, one for the freezer and one as a sign. Looking very tasty. And now let's build a bunch of these benches all around the square. This one for playing chess. Looks like this guy got a ladder, mate. And lastly, we're gonna add this tiny little baby pier powered with 1100 watts of redstone. And that's Mallory Square, meaning we can move on to one of the strangest places in Florida, the Christ of the Abyss, an underwater statue of Jesus. First, with diorite, I'm gonna build a base for it to stand on. Now I'll grab cobblestone, moss, and make all the variants of both cobble and mossy cobble. And with that, I can build it on the ocean floor. Now to make it even more overgrown and eaten by fish or something, I don't know, we're gonna bone meal it as much as we can. And that's Christ of the Abyss. How did it even get there? Next up, the Turtle Hospital, a real place that rescues turtles and heals them. So let's first set up this all-white building, and now we can move on to the massive turtle sign, built with lime and green concrete and lime terracotta. Now we're gonna make green and lime banners that spell hospital. Awesome. Later, when we add a bunch of animals roaming around, we'll make sure to put turtles here, so stay tuned. Now we're gonna build this apartment complex, for which we need white terracotta, sandstone, and a bunch of cherry. So I made this beautiful garden, which lasted about 10 minutes as I needed all of the cherry. And with that, I can build all 3 of these. And I gotta say, this looks like a sick place to stay in. But to make it even better, in front of it I'll add a small green area with all the paths leading straight into the rusty anchor. And now we're actually gonna extend this greenery madness to the lighthouse and around the Mallory Square. Next, we're gonna build another 3 apartment buildings similar to the ones before, except with bricks, bamboo, and red and brown terracotta. So let's build these. And once again, we'll add a bunch of greenery around. Wow, this place is turning out great. Though I promise you won't see this color often in Vice City. Now we're gonna build another one of these flood-proof houses similar to Cal's house, but this time with a bigger balcony. Hey, that looks good. So let's build another one of these, but this time with dark oak. And with that, this whole key is done. So let's move on to the one closer to Vice City. This area is split between cheap houses and luxurious mansions. Let's start with the cheap houses, for which we need a bunch of different types of wood, and we can start building. Next, for the luxurious part, we need to get some white concrete and oak, as that will look very modern. Then some other easy materials, and we can start building the last part of the keys. And with that, we have 2 more secret steps, Vice City and the whole island will be 100% done. I can't wait. Alright, I've been talking a lot about 2 secret steps. Let's finally reveal what these are. First, details, meaning a bunch of builds around the island outside of the main cities. I split it into 3 categories. First, vehicles. We'll start with cars, as it's literally in the name of the game. So I have this simple car design, and a cool thing about it is that you can replace this concrete with anything you want. And it will be a completely different car. And I kinda want every single one to be different. So I went through my entire storage system picking 49 different blocks to have 50 cars in total. So then I could start building. And while most of them seemed normal, there were a couple that caught my attention. Like this partially see-through mangrove roots car, this magma block one, this absolutely gorgeous amethyst whip, one made with deep slate diamond ore, emeralds, this one with redstone blocks that with a couple tweaks could probably drive, and one straight out of a Mr. Beast thumbnail. And with this wet sponge abomination, there are now 50 cars for you to steal. Next, boats, and we'll go from the smallest to the biggest. Meaning first, a bunch of actual Minecraft boats. Now I'll build a bunch of these jet skis around soon to be Vice City and the Keys. Shout out to RalphA46 on Reddit for this design. Now these airboats around grass rivers, as these are designed to go to swamps. Next, this yacht just chilling here, and then these 2 yachts sailing on Lake Leonida. And finally, for the biggest boat thingies, we'll build these container ships. But now we actually have to add the containers. And whoops, I hope that was in your package. So we've done ground vehicles, water vehicles, and now it's time for the what's it called again? Sky vehicles, including blimps, planes, and float planes. Let's start with float planes, as they're by far the smallest ones out of this bunch. Trust me, the sky will look crazy after this step. First, let's build these two closer to the ground. Shout out to MC Foxy for this design. Now one flying above the keys, and then one high up above Ambrosia carrying a very important message. You should listen to it. In the first shot of GTA 6 Trailer 2, in the background we can see this weird blimp. This is actually TARS, which stands for something something radar system, and it's used to detect boats carrying illegal stuff from Cuba. So let's just get a bunch of quartz and put an end to these pesky Cuban villagers trying to sell me nausea potions. This kinda looks stupid, but it also looks stupid IRL, so I think we're good. Now let's build a big boy blimp borrowed from my GTA 5 island, which is huge. Now to finish the sky, we're gonna build this massive plane flying over Port Galhorn. And yeah, all of these planes give you a really nice view of every city we've built so far. But seeing it like that makes me terrified of the scale of Vice City. This is gonna take so long. But it's not time to worry about that yet, because we're moving on to utility. One of my favorite details from my GTA 5 map are these transmission towers. The problem is that they're just way too big. So I made a new design, but the problem with that is that it uses a ton of oxidized copper. I actually have some left over from last time we did this, but I'm not sure that'll be enough. So I placed down a stack of copper blocks, waited 2 hours, and with that I was ready to build these. And while I'm building these, I'm gonna telepathically craft a bunch of chains, which allows us to connect these towers with these levers serving as conductor bundles. Initially I was gonna build wind turbines, but turns out Florida does not have many of those. So instead we're gonna build solar panels, as they will gather much more energy. So we're gonna use the one and only solar panel block in Minecraft, the daylight detector. And it just so happens that I have a bunch of these here where we celebrated 5,000 days in this world. So if I just take these and craft some dark oak fences for support, we can go and place a bunch of these facing east for maximum efficiency. Next we're gonna build street signs, as I found a really cool design for these. We just need a bunch of light gray banners, so I dyed all of my sheep light gray. Come here boy. Next we need lime, yellow and black dye. And now I can craft these banners. Yo, that looks awesome. Now if I just craft 160 polished tough walls, we can build these all around the island. And finally I need to craft some quartz variants to make this vice sign reminding me of this enormous task. And for the final details category, nature. We're gonna start by upgrading the beaches with some towels, campfires, cakes, umbrellas and a bunch of goodies in item frames. And last but not least, palm trees. If you've seen my GTA 5 video, you know what I'm about to say. In that video, I decided to make palm trees out of ancient debris, which a lot of you thought was stupid, but I haven't fully changed my mind. I'm gonna build 25 netherite palm trees, 25 with jungle wood and 25 with dripstone. And I'll let you choose in the comments which design I should use if I build GTA 7. Of course, if the video gets 200,000 likes. Let's start by collecting 150 pointed dripstone. And I can safely say this took less time than ancient debris will. Next, 225 jungle logs. And finally, before we go hunt netherite, let's get a full shulker box of jungle leaves. But now it's time to collect 175 ancient debris. Yep. To put it in perspective, that's almost 11 sets of netherite armor and 2% of a netherite beacon. But to put that perspective in perspective, on the GTA 5 map I used 43 sets of armor worth of ancient debris and 12% of the netherite beacon. But with that yapping complete, we also collected all the ancient debris. So let's place all of the netherite palm trees, now the jungle ones, and now dripstone. Comment down below which one I should build next. But with that we completed the details category and we can move on to the last step before Vice City. Life. Meaning a bunch of animals roaming around. So let's quickly recreate Noah's Ark for the easy animals, meaning sheep, cows and pigs, and now I can bring them to the island. So let's breed them a bunch, and once they're all here now, eventually they'll walk around the whole island. Next I'm gonna go to where we bred super fast horses in episode 7, and bring 2 of them to the island, and breed them a bunch here as well. And that wraps up the easy animals. Now let's do frogs. For that, I'm gonna breed a whole lot of them and grab a ton of buckets of tadpole. With these, I can dump them into Lake Leonida and watch them grow. Oh, we got one. Oh, and that's a lot of frogs. Now I'm gonna quickly put these turtle eggs here, which should quickly grow into these tiny turtles. Okay, so I returned and there were no turtles at all. Then I checked the replay and look at this guy. They all pushed each other onto the turtle eggs, and this guy just started jumping on one. Moved on to another one, started jumping on that one. What? Okay, I only have 3 more eggs left, but this time let's give them some protection. Let's go, finally some alive turtles. Now let's do armadillos. And honestly, I have no idea where to find them in my world. Oh, there we go. I just need to grab 2 and bring them back to the GTA 6 island. Now we can breed them with spider eyes. Why do you guys eat these things? And we only have 1 more animal to bring, the wolf. but not just any wolf, the black wolf. As I think that's the coolest looking one, meaning we need to find the Old Grove Pine Taiga biome, the only place where they spawn. And let me tell you, this took forever. First of all, I need to fly far away to new biomes as these didn't exist when I started this world. But I also needed to find one of the rarest biomes in all of Minecraft. But eventually I spotted one and lo and behold, there it is, the black wolf. What a relief. Since we're thousands of blocks away from home, I have to bring them through the nether. Please don't die, don't fight anything, just follow me. No, we can work with one. Home portal. Come here, wolf. Now I'm gonna breed them away from the island for now, as I'll have to tame them all before bringing them there. Because if I just let them run there, they would kill all the sheep. Okay, now if I just move them to the forest right here, that's every smaller city, every detail and animal added to the island. Meaning there's only one thing. One tiny little thing left in this project. Vice City. Just like before, we're gonna start with important buildings and then fill in the districts with accurate buildings. Bro, I'm saying this like we're gonna do it all tonight. This is gonna take weeks, if not months. Alright. Before this recording, I went and ranked every important building from my list. And I decided we're gonna build these from the ugliest to the prettiest. Cause I thought it would be fun to do it that way. Starting with Vice City International Airport. As much as I love airports, this one isn't hitting too much. The main building requires a lot of glass, because it's an airport, it's gotta be see-through. Wait, why are airports see-through? Oh, cause yeah, I don't know. So we need to craft black, grey and light grey stained glass. Then grab some concrete and make a ton of iron bars. With that we can build the main airport building, which also spells out Vice. Yeah, that looks sick. Now we're gonna build a couple of these tiny planes and this tower, I forgot what it's called. Next at number 29, ammunition. And whilst the store is awesome, the ammunition buildings were never all that interesting. So we're gonna start with a simple smooth stone and acacia building, but now to make the cool sign we need to make these banners. But to add the star between these words, we need to combine oxide daisies with paper to get this banner pattern, which technically is a flower, but it looks the most like a star. So I can place these and now also build 3 more, as Vice City can't have less gun stores than Ambrosia. Next, the prison. We're gonna start with the school fence. Yep, no, it works. Next, this tower. Why can I never remember the names of towers? And finally, I'm gonna collect some clay to smelt it and get bricks to build the prison itself. Yo, and these windows look so cool when you're moving around. Next at number 27, the Dominion Hotel. We need sandstone, tuff, quartz and end rods. Now, I put it low on this list because I thought it was boring. But then when I designed it, it turned out pretty well. So I'm sorry, Dominion Hotel. At least for now, you're the tallest building in Vice City. But it won't hold that title for long, as next up is the Aston Martin Residences. For a subtle glow at night, we're gonna use crying obsidian. And for these thin white lines, I need a bunch of carpet. And the rest of the material list was very easy. So let's get to building. The reason why I put this so low on the list is because of this weird shape. Like, what is this? Doesn't matter what that is, because next we need a ton of light grey concrete for the Washington Mall. And with these materials, I can go and build this. I'm using bookshelves inside as a technique called implied detail, to trick your brain into thinking I did store interiors. And also to trick your brain into subscribing to my channel. At number 24, we have Viscane Towers. The coolest thing about them is the name. The material list for the main parts of them is easy, but for it to glow at night, I decided to use glow lichen. So I'm gonna quickly rebuild a farm for it, and yeah, let's go build these. I mean, these are kinda growing on me. I like the unusual shape in the middle. The Four Seasons Hotel is the most generic looking tower. Scientists combined every skyscraper into one, and the results were like this. Okay, nah, but this looks sick with shaders on. But with that, we've done D tier and C tier. And first in B tier is number 22, the Paramount Vice City World Center, for which we need an entire shulker box of light blue concrete and a bunch of blue stained glass. Luckily, when I built this massive phone, I collected a lot more than I needed. With that, I can get the building. And yeah, these buildings are getting really tall the further we go down the list. But to change it up a bit, next is Hotel Harrison, where Ken Rosenberg from Vice City held his office. I just need a bit more white terracotta, and now let's build it. I feel like it's missing something. What do you think, dog? Roof. Oh yeah. Yup, I need to oxidize more copper. But now we can finish Hotel Harrison. Now let's go back to tall buildings with Brick Built Panorama Tower. And surprise surprise, we need bricks for it. A lot of bricks. So I found this huge lush cave and took home 75 stacks of clay. Exactly how much we need. This is gonna take forever to smelt. Do you wanna guess how many black stained glass paints can we make from this much black dye? Yup. That's how much we need for this one building. Okay, it seems like all the clay has smelted, meaning we can build this massive tower. Next, epic residences. I love using torches like this. Like you can see them only from certain angles, but it lights up the whole building. Yo, this is turning out so well. Can you imagine what this will look like when it's all done? But doing so many skyscrapers in a row is exhausting. So luckily, next is my favorite mall from GTA Vice City, the North Point Mall. When beating GTA Vice City, this mall was my common choice for getting weapons, as for some reason every ammunition closer to the mission had their stuff sold out. So I'll just put down this chest here in case I run into the same issue. Next, Fontainebleau Vice City Beach Hotel. And I really like the look of this building, especially when you go further away and it starts moving. So if I just AFK this carpet farm, we can build this curved hotel, which looks like a sick place to stay in if you only want to sunbathe and not explore this gorgeous city. Or go watch a basketball game. Why do I bring this up? Because next up is the Narcos Arena, based on Kaseya Center where Miami Heat plays. I reserved a pretty large area for this build, so this is gonna be huge. For the walls I need light grey concrete, then for this weird thingy I'll use iron blocks, and white stained glass paints with black concrete and crying obsidian for the lights. So now if I build it, it's kinda emitting some light, but it's not really glowing. So I'm gonna recreate these random shapes with end rods. And that's the Vice City Narcos Arena. Now we're gonna finally do something cool on this part of the map with Vice City Tower. Another generic skyscraper, but this time in a good way. Because they decided to have black windows, I am now forced to kill over 50 squid. And now craft almost a full shulker box of black stained glass. With that and all 3 types of frog light, I can build this giant tower. And I really like how there are multiple colors of light. And with that we are moving on to A tier. If you think these builds are cool, thank you, I appreciate it. At number 14, Hotel Valletta on the complete opposite side of Vice City. With a bunch of quartz and bricks secured, we can start building. This hotel looks like one of these cheap places that seem perfect until you realize it's 20 kilometers from the city center. Next, 919. Based on 11 Miami. This one was very simple to build. We just need to make these banners spelling 919. I don't know why I placed it so high on the list. Probably for the vibes. The Cherry Puppet Ice Cream Factory is definitely one of the ugliest buildings in the whole GTA franchise. Until you put not 1, but 2 cherries on top. Yeah, okay, I don't know about that. At least it's accurate to GTA Vice City. Speaking of GTA Vice City, the Vercetti Estate is one of the most important locations in that game, as multiple missions take place in that mansion. But an island where it's supposed to be has mysteriously disappeared. So instead, we'll build it here. I know I'm skipping a lot of material collection, but it's either that I already have them in my storage or it's just boring. I promise you're not missing out on any fun between these cuts. And that's the Vercetti Estate. Now we're in the top 10 coolest places in Vice City. In real life, One Brickbell City Center is a cancelled project for the tallest building in Miami. But here in Vice City, everything is possible. The problem with this tower is that it's gonna be the tallest one by far, meaning even if the materials are easy, it's still gonna take forever to prepare. Let's start from the easiest. 1 redstone torch. Yeah, I think I can do that. Next, 7 yellow concrete, 56 iron bars, 438 frog light, 2225 grey concrete. Yeah, that one just takes time. Now 920 torches, meaning over 300 coal. This is not enough for me to build a withered skeleton farm, but it's absolutely enough to be annoying to get from caves. Now 2000 polished blackstone slabs, which luckily wasn't too bad to collect. Next I need 6500 glass. So I turned on the big boy smelter, and eventually it was all smelted. Now we need 2500 of it as orange and the rest as yellow. Luckily these 2 colors are pretty easy, as for yellow I can just duplicate the sunflower, and for orange I can combine more yellow dye with red from poppies from my iron farm. Yep, and that's everything. Just 8 shulker boxes full of items. People spend entire episodes building stuff like this tower, and yet this is just a small segment in my video. If that's not worth your sub, just keep it, bruh. And after an hour of building this 96 block tall tower, it's finally done. I also put a helipad on top in case Mojang adds the long-awaited helicopters in the next update. Not only is this taller than everything here, it's also outshining it a bunch. But there are still 9 more cooler buildings on my list, like Raphael's clothing store, where Tommy Vercetti got this drip. So I need to collect the most luxurious looking blocks, like quartz pillars, oak leaves, and vines. Now some polish andesite, and finally I need 164 gilded blackstone. So I flew around the nether looking for bastions, stealing it directly from their walls. And with that we can build it. Oh, you can't see? I'm so sorry. Yeah, that's better. And that's Raphael's. The Southeast Financial Center is one of the most famous buildings in Miami. It's just that to recreate it, we need 1600 quartz stairs. So I AFK'd my piglin bartering farm until I had all the quartz needed. With that and some glass, I can start building. And let me tell you, Getting this shape to look right gave me such a headache. I had to look up floor plans for this building to even begin working on it. Next, Malibu Club with beautiful pink lights. But since there's no way to have pink light in Minecraft, I'll just make it pink and add light. I'm such a genius. So if I just grab some pink concrete, end rods, and some other easy mats, I can quickly build it. And with that, we are moving on to S tier, the absolute best of the best, like the 1000 museum. Let's do it step by step this time. If I just turn on the carpet duper, and while that's running, craft black stained glass and some torches, we can build this inside part of the building. And now let's grab some white concrete and craft quartz slabs, and we can do this really nice shape around the glowing windows. Now at number 5, the Deacon Hotel, based on the Beacon Hotel in Miami. Very clever, Rockstar. Similar to the Malibu Club, we need to make it seem like it's glowing green, but this time we're gonna achieve this effect with lime glazed terracotta, lime stained glass, verdant frog light, and slime blocks. I'm so happy I built this machine. And with quartz and some other materials, we can quickly build this hotel. Awesome. Next, at number 4, the Portofino Tower, which looks like it's straight out of Miami Vice. And when I visit Miami, I definitely want a selfie there. First, with some sandstone, I can build this yellowish base. And now for the top, we need to get a bunch of red sand. Initially, I didn't know how to make this building glow, but luckily there's a perfect orange light source, for which we need to first craft some torches, and now collect almost 4 stacks of pumpkins. And now if I just carve them, we can craft jack-o'-lanterns. So now if I quickly build it, and yeah, that looks sick. Next, Pole Proposition, a shoe store with incredible aura. For the sick walls, I need to oxidize 7 stacks of copper, for which I finally set up an oxidizing station, with prepared areas for the most optimal spacing. And after multiple hours of waiting, I could finally build the Pole Proposition, leaving us with 2 more important buildings before we move on to filling this entire area with districts. At number 2, a really tough choice, the Atlantis Condominium, one of the coolest buildings I've ever seen. And on top of that, it's featured in the Miami Vice intro. To build this masterpiece, we need a bunch of andesite slabs, gray and light gray glass, and most importantly, a ton of frog light. For once, actually more than I have, so I need to AFK this farm. Now I can grab some red and yellow concrete for the details, and we can start building. It's kind of a shame this is covered by the other tall buildings, but nonetheless, this is still the coolest one out of all of them. Now let's finally add water to the pool inside, and that's the Atlantis Condominium. What a gorgeous building. Now at number 1, the coolest building in all of Vice City, the Ocean View Hotel. A very important location from GTA Vice City. For the color to be the most authentic, we need to steal some of this prismarine and grab some cyan concrete. With that, I can build it. It's a really simple building, but this is the first thing I think of when I hear Vice City, and that's why it takes the number 1 spot. Before we move on to the district and finish this 7-month-long project, let's quickly get the materials for all 14 bridges. Because I made the design consistent throughout all the bridges, I only need 5 different blocks. First, 700 quartz blocks, and now most of it as slabs for cool arches, now 500 andesite walls for pillars, 600 polished andesite slabs for extra support, and finally a bunch of grey concrete to connect these to the ocean floor. With that, I can build it. This seems like a small change, but it definitely adds a lot to the city. In Vice City, there are a ton of different districts. But here, let's simplify it a bit. Here, let's do hotels. Here, downtown, malls, and north of downtown. Let's start with the malls, the smallest section out of all of these. I decided to design these exclusively out of blocks I already have, hence why we're skipping right into the building. This section already had a lot of buildings filled in, so this really didn't take too long. But now moving on to possibly the most challenging part, the hotels. For the cool vibrant colors, we first need 7 different colors of concrete. So I AFK'd that, and in the end, the white concrete, which we need 7,000 of, naturally took the longest. Now we need to solidify it, and that's all the concrete needed. Next, 14 colors of glass. Luckily, last time I needed glass, I smelted way more than I needed, so this should be enough. But now coloring it will be more challenging. Blue and light blue are pretty easy, as I built this flower farm in the last episode. White is also easy because of this enormous bone meal farm. Same with yellow, orange, and red. Also cyan and lime. I just need to smelt a bunch of this cacti. For pink, we just combine red and white from poppies and bone meal. Same with magenta and purple. We just need to add some blue. But now the last 3 colors are not so easy. Brown dye can only be crafted with cocoa beans, and black dye only with ink sacs or wither roses. And I have none of those, and I need over 1,000 black dye and 184 brown dye. Let's start with brown dye. So I just built a jungle log wall and started planting and replanting cocoa beans until I could craft all the brown dye. But now for the black dye, I have 2 options. Either kill hundreds of squid, which would take hours, or build a squid farm, which would take hours. But I do feel like we'll need a lot of black dye in the future, so I'll go with the farm. So for this farm to work, we need to find an ocean monument that isn't covered by a huge island, which is kinda challenging in my world. There we go. Now if I build this simple but loud setup and go up into the sky, the farm is almost ready. We just need to steal these allays and give them ink sacks. Now the guardians from the monument will kill squid, and the allays will pick up the items and throw them into this chest. And after an hour of AFKing, we have stacks upon stacks of sacks. Wow, that was a lot easier than I expected. With that, we have all the colored blocks needed. Next, let's get andesite, sandstone, and diorite slabs for the roofs. A bit of frog light, and with that, we move on to the hut to get blocks. Yup, we're still not done. All of that for a couple of stupid hotels. First, 3,700 torches. Yeah. But last time I needed torches, I completely forgot you can also get them from charcoal. So I just need to smelt 14 stacks of logs, and we can craft all the torches. And that will last and very much least 15,000 quartz slabs, which translates to 4.5 shulker boxes of quartz blocks. I don't have that many. But what I do have is faith. And also a ton of gold and a piglin bartering farm. With that, I just need to spend some time here AFK. And we have all 60,000 blocks for this part of the city. Wait, 60,000? To warm up, I built some of the buildings on this island. But now we actually need to do all of this here, which took me hours. But looking at it now with shaders, it was very much worth it. We just have downtown and north of downtown to finish this project. North of downtown. A slightly smaller area, but one that has much taller buildings than the hotel section. The material list is easy for the most part. First, 11 types of concrete, some torches, now a bunch of white, yellow and orange carpet, so I built more of these machines. Next, if we pay a visit to the Inksack farm and spend 15 minutes here, we can also craft all the glass needed. With frog light secured and a couple of different slab types, there's just one material left. Nearly 5,000 end rods, meaning 19 stacks of popped chorus and 19 stacks of blaze rods. So I think I have to build a farm for both of these. A blaze farm is incredibly easy to build. I can't believe I haven't built one in 6,000 days in this world. Yup, and we're one step closer to infinite end rods. I couldn't really find a good chorus farm on YouTube, but what I could find was a full shulker box of endstone and a stack of chorus thingies. So I built a huge platform and started planting and replanting these until I slowly lost my mind. I also built a small auto smelter right next to it to get the popped chorus quicker. And with that, we can craft all 5,000 end rods and build the second to last district in Vice City. For this one, I'm showing it at night time because the lights reflecting in the water look incredible. If you still haven't subscribed, you must not be paying attention. The materials for this last part are pretty much the same as last time. I need 7 types of concrete, 13 types of glass, torches, slabs and frog light, but the final material is a bit more challenging. 1,200 sea lanterns, meaning 5,000 prismarine shards and 6,000 prismarine crystals. There's no way I'm getting that by hand. So for the final time in this video, I'm building another farm, the simplest one I could find. With some time spent AFK here, I can craft all the sea lanterns, allowing me to complete this 120,000 block material list. Can I just pause for a second? That's insane! Dude, this is gonna take so long to place. And long time it took. But with every block I got closer and closer to finishing this insane project. Seven months of work down to this final block. Boom! And with that, I recreated GTA 6 in Minecraft Hardcore, with Ambrosia, Port Gellhorn, Grass Rivers, the Keys, all of the details, animals, and most importantly, Vice City. I hope this exceeded your expectations. Thank you so much for watching, see you in the next one. Make sure to check out War Thunder. If you're a new player or you haven't played in 6 months, with my links you will receive 100,000 Silver Lions for in-game purchases, a week of a premium account, and the Eagle of Valor decoration.